It is Wednesday, the 5th of June, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. So today we're going to be finally talking about an artist who is so integral to my music taste, which says a lot about me once I tell you who it is. But I mean, you already know because you're looking at the video. This is like the first musician that I really, truly, fully got into. I know I talked about Gorillaz that way, and that's true of like CDs and stuff. But I suppose there was a few artists I got into around the same time, and most of them were from the same place, which is the website Albino Black Sheep. You know, I got into Gorillaz through like analog means, through TV and through hearing music in places. But I got into Weird Al, Lemon Demon, and Tally Hall in 2005, 2006 through Flash animations. And today we're talking about Lemon Demon, who was like my first true gotta listen to every single thing musical obsession. I had a torrent of every single thing that he had released, and I would rewatch the Flash animations all the time and knew all the songs off by heart, and I still probably do. I listened to the commentaries. I looked at all the other stuff he had made. See, this is the thing about Lemon Demon. So Lemon Demon is one of the many stage names of Neil Cicierega, who's a guy from Massachusetts. And he is, I mean, at this point, like, mostly people would know him as Lemon Demon, but he has released so many things under various different names that he's just one of those people who is everywhere on the internet because he's been making stuff for a long, long time in relative terms to do with the internet. And so many of his things have gone viral, and they're so different from each other that if you've been on the internet, you've seen something he made. Heard the music of Lemon Demon? That's Neil Cicierega. Seen Potter Puppet Pals? That's Neil Cicierega. Brody Quest? Neil Cicierega. The Mouth Sounds mashup albums? That's Neil Cicierega. Even if you don't know what they're called, you might know some of the mashups from them, like Bustin', for example. He's just everywhere all over the internet, and it's great. And I love him a lot. I've been a fan of his music for so long. I have like very specific memories of like, I was on a school trip in primary school to Newgrange, and I remember sitting on the steps of the visitor center eating my lunch out of my lunchbox and listening to Lemon Demon on my Creative Zen MP3 player. This is a very specific thing for me, talking about Lemon Demon. So today we're going to talk about the song Nothing Worth Loving Isn't Askew, which is from his album Dinosaur Orchestra from 2005. I struggled to think of what Lemon Demon song to talk about first. I considered talking about Ultimate Showdown because like it's one of his most famous ones, but I don't think I have much to say about it. It just kind of stands on its own. It's its own thing. I'm not going to go through nitpicking every single cultural reference, but I decided to go with this one because I love this song. It's got a great message. It's relatively simple, and it's not as weird as some of his other stuff, so it's relatively accessible as well. I do intend to talk about Lemon Demon again soon, though, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think that's next week, actually, is when I intend to do that, but we'll get there. For now, let's just listen to the song and then come back and talk about it in a few minutes. There it is. Nothing worth loving isn't askew. I think the message is very easy to understand from the title. Never mind the lyrics, but I will of course talk about them because of course I will. But before I do, I just want to talk about the music of it. It's very simple, and it's clear that a lot of it is like synthesized or MIDI or whatever. It is a real bass guitar that's playing. I assume the electric guitar is also real because I know he has an electric guitar and has used it on songs of that era, although he often didn't play it straight. He would like play chords and then edit those chords together into guitar parts, but I don't know. It could be either. But I like the sound of it, and the sound of his first like five, this was his fifth album as Lemon Demon. His first like five albums as Lemon Demon have this specific sound to it where it really sounds like it was recorded in like his bedroom. Probably was. You know, like it sounds like a kid in a computer, because it was. He was releasing these when he was a teenager and young adult, you know, and it really does feel like that in a good way, because I like lo-fi shit like that. But it's not lo-fi like Daniel Johnston or early Mountain Goats where like it sounds like it's being recorded on a boombox. The audio is actually pretty crystal clear, but that's kind of what makes it lo-fi, is that it sounds kind of manufactured in a way, which I enjoy. Kind of robotic almost. Anyway, so the lyrics, it carries this very simple message, the idea of nobody's perfect, pobody's nerfect. You know, nothing worth loving isn't askew is a confusing way to phrase it, but it means that nothing that is worth loving is perfect. Everything that is worth loving has something a little bit wrong with it, because that's just how it works. There's no such thing as perfection. And so it's about that kind of, it's the message of not seeking perfection when it isn't necessarily to be found, but also the message of appreciating yourself whether or not you're perfect. So the first line is, "You are red and blue and green, living like a living computer glitch." Of course, Neil would start his song out with a computer joke, but red and blue and green are the colors that make up the lights of the pixels of a screen. So you could change to anything. All you got to do is just hit the switch, kind of referring to changing to like pixels displaying other things, you know, and I like that. You're muscle, flesh, and bone living in the land of automobiles, like saying a human compared to a machine, right? Muscle, flesh, and bone compared to an automobile. A human is like imperfect because it's like this amalgamation of things that kind of work, whereas an automobile is designed. It's designed to work properly, you know? Humans are not. They work through evolution and through oopsing into the right solutions. If you ever lose your shoes, all you got to do is just click your heels. That is, of course, a Wizard of Oz reference. I'm realizing how many goddamn songs that reference Wizard of Oz. And now I know Neil loves Wizard of Oz because there's so many things he's done that have referenced it. I mean, he made a thing called No Place Like Home with a bunch of his friends where he played the Scarecrow and composed the music. And he has a song called Oz Explodes, which is made up entirely of quotes from the Scarecrow. So, you know, he clearly has an appreciation and a fascination with it. But, like, we also did Night Shift last week, which had a music video that referenced Wizard of Oz, and we did I Know the End by Phoebe Bridgers, which has references to Wizard of Oz in it. There's just a lot. I mean, it's a big cultural touchstone, I guess, but I'm realizing how many songs I know that reference it, you know? Anyway, symmetry's overrated, methinks. Look at the scars all over the Sphinx. I always liked this line as a kid because I like silly lyrics, but I liked words like methinks and indubitably when I was a kid because they sound kind of silly and made up, and they are, all words are made up. But I like that I don't know if he used methinks just to rhyme with Sphinx, but it is an interesting thing to draw attention to because symmetry's overrated is a relatively complex sentiment, and then methinks makes it kind of simple again. But then you have look at the scars all over the Sphinx, saying like the Sphinx is a greatly appreciated work of art and like diligence and craftsmanship, but the scars all over it. It's missing its nose. Like it's not perfect, but people still come from all over the world to see the Sphinx, you know? And then, do you know that when you blink, each eye winks slightly out of sync? Which is true, because nothing happens perfectly in time, unless it is like perfectly machined to happen perfectly in time. But even then, milliseconds can make all the difference. But yes, when you blink, your eyes do wink slightly out of sync. And it's just another way of highlighting how normal imperfection is, you know? What I love about this, though, is that the way the music goes, the kind of syncopation of the music, it sounds like it's out of time with itself, because you got the along with the bass going dum, 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 and they're kind of out of phase with each other, so it gives that imperfect sound. But in the bridge here, when everything slows down, the instruments actually get out of sync with each other properly, and I really like that. And then we get the chorus again, but the full version. Symmetry's overrated, methinks. Look at the scars all over the Sphinx. Even the planet spins with a tilt. Ever a body's built like a quilt. Again, yeah, the planet spinning with a tilt, yeah. I mean, it's kind of impossible to say because it depends on what your frame of reference is. But yes, the planet spins with a tilt. And then everybody's built like a quilt is a weird thing, but, you know, we're all patchwork. We're all made up of separate, uneven things. And that's an interesting way to phrase it, built like a quilt, you know? Then we get another verse. Have you heard the awful truth? Cursed asymmetricals go to hell. If you trip and lose a tooth, you gotta knock the other side out as well. Gouge both eyes out and you'll see empty sockets everywhere, self-abyss, fill them up with mercury so I can see myself when we kiss. The imagery suddenly gets very dark here. It's still using it to deliver this kind of wholesome message. I saw someone, when I was looking it up just now, someone on Reddit was like, the darkness of the lyrics here really speak to the They Might Be Giants influence, because Neil is very clearly very influenced by They Might Be Giants, musically, lyrically, tonally, humorously, I guess is how you'd phrase that. He's even done They Might Be Giants covers. I actually mentioned that when I talked about They Might Be Giants on Monday, that I partially discovered them through Lemon Demon's cover of Birdhouse in Your Soul. But anyway, yeah, so the lyrics here being dark to display a wholesome idea is very, very They Might Be Giants, and I get what they're saying there. The idea of filling your eyes with mercury so they're reflective is such a gruesome image. Also, the use of the phrase self-abyss is apparently a reference to Nietzsche. It's a self-abuse joke. We get the chorus once more, and then we get an extended version of the chorus, which is, trees in the forest fall to the side. Everybody's got something to hide except for me and my suitcase full of imperfections if the court has no objections. I always thought that was a weird lyric when I was a kid because it doesn't follow the line. It goes, except for me and my suitcase full of, you know, it goes off into a variant, and I thought that was really weird. I later learned when I grew up that this is a reference to a Beatles song called Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey. So you're supposed to be expecting him to say that, but then he says suitcase case full of imperfections. He does that a lot, but I love when artists do that, where like there's an expected rhyme or reference for them to make and they don't do it, like in Haiku by Tally Hall, where he talks about not being very good at rhyming and then the line doesn't rhyme. Right? Like jokes like that, I enjoy that. And then we get the chorus again, but the last two lines change to I am lopsided and so are you. Nothing worth loving isn't askew. Yeah, very simple in terms of what it's about, but I just really like that message of nothing's perfect, nobody's perfect, you're not perfect, and that's beautiful. You are your own beautiful, unique little snowflake, but like in a sincere way. And I really like that. Musically very simple, musically enjoyable. There's like a guitar solo as well in there that I enjoy. And also I like the harmonies and stuff, because he's harmonizing with himself. Yeah, I don't think I have much else to say, honestly. I'll have a lot more to say when I talk about other Lemon Demon songs, probably. But I needed to start somewhere. Love this song, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give a like, tell me what you think, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
Appreciating yourself, whether or not you're perfect. Like you are beautiful in every single way. You're muscle, flesh, and bone, living in the land of automobiles. Automobiles.